I am Nave here with finals of the Goldenrod Battle Nexus Silver Division 22 draft. Last time I'll have to say that mouthful. And against Mr. Amazing, who I lost to in week 7. I lost a recording for that one. It happens, unfortunately. But it's my first time going to a rematch of the Underdog, and I think, that's good. That inherently advantages me. What you missed from the last recording was that, my plan was to use Scarford Ziggigus to overwhelm and outspeed, because I locked down the Kingdra Swift Swim, and Terra Normal, Regigigas, O-Code, pretty much everything they had. But because of between a Scarf Banette and a minimized Toxic Stall Overquill, they were too much for me. And looking back at the Regigigas thing was kind of a stupid idea in the first place. I shouldn't have made a team that's essentially the equivalent of just lead Raw Touch Dozo twice. It just goes against everything my team was built. My team was built weakening them with the front and then leading and hurting them in the back, just like a fucking Dozo team. But what changes this time is we both made 2 trades. We both made one trade that's quite good into the other, and another one that probably won't matter. My trade is trading Total Forges, whose huge special defense stat of 154 is extremely strong as a Kingdra, Charizard, and Goodra, and they've traded Executor for Chestnut, who can Iron Press into Regigigas to beat it, though it does have a poor matchup without Terra into Florges and a majority of my high tiers. If they Terra into Steel, that solves that almost entirely. And then, I traded Pyro for Lockix, and, I wanted to bring Lockix, I haven't brought it up. I haven't brought it yet, but, Sucker doesn't do 50% to any other Pokemon, even if they're at no bulk, unless I run, an offense item, and that's taken by everyone else. And, Grookey's an ability-reliant Stage 1 Pokemon into a Weezing team. I would be surprised if that comes. But, what am I not being surprised to come? The last set I saw no Kingdra or Politoed. They didn't bring it. They come to the set, but not to any games. And I was overwhelmed by minimal Overquill and non-range speed control. So my prep this week is to have answers to those things, but they can't be too much, because change every set for the second set isn't a very uncommon strategy. And especially because Forge is weak to offensive Overquill, I think bringing that will be very good. So I expect one, but not both, of Scarf or generally of either Scarf Icy Wind or just Tailwind, and then and minimize Overquill, but not both, and especially a heavier lean into the new trade Chestnut, and if only because of how my team is different now, Rain. But how would I beat this? I couldn't last time because Scarf Gigas took away my flexibility and leads, and the rest of my team inherently isn't very threatening in the back, and the answer is to do the same thing I've been doing every other set. I lead Electrode and I speed control the shit out of him. Because of Forge its huge 154 special defense stat, I don't need to worry about the raw Politoed Kingdra lead, even if I don't lead Weezing. So she's going to be the star of the team. And so the plan leads are either Florges and Electrode or Florges and Basculin. So Florges matches upgrade into their team defensively. It's one of the only good fairy types in the draft. The only thing that hits it super effectively is Overquill or even Resist Fairy, and if I have Terra Blast Water here, it will match up well into everything too. Fairy, Water, Grass coverage is, I believe, entirely unresisted. So, not you. And then this speed should outspeed everything that isn't Scarfed or Swift Swim at -2 from an Electrode Scary Face, and even the Scarfers, except for Timid Charizard, should be outsped too. -2 Scarfers speeds kind of act weird. I'll hope I do, but I won't be surprised if they don't. But if you couldn't tell by the -2 stuff, Electrode is back to his old tricks. It has Covert Cloak for anti-Icy Wind and also Fake Out. It's always normal, always bring that. With Taunt to shut down setup in its various forms. Dragon Tier, Iron Defense, or Minimize, all things that he's brought in the past. I don't know if he's brought Iron Defense, but it's good into me, so I'm going to prep against it. Scary Face is better than T-Wave because it doesn't miss, and I think Terra Ground is fine into me. It might be. And Helping Hand, isn't enough to get some Okos I want, so I have Metal Sound instead. We'll just hope we don't miss. Unfortunately, Terra Water Electrolord can't live a Terra Water, Helping Hand, Life Orb, Hydro Pump, so we're just going to have to hope it doesn't come to that. And for what it's worth, fun fact, even without Terra, Florges will survive. Terra Water, Helping Hand, In the Rain, Life Orb, and Hydro Pump. That's with 3 HP, which is very funny. And then one thing, Basculin. The only set I didn't bring Basculin to this entire draft was my first match against Mr. Amazing, and I lost that. and I should never have done that. I should never not have bought Basculin. Been my MVP this entire season. I love him. At Baltimore, I went to Baltimore. I bought a blue striped Basculin plush in honor of his performance at GBN here. So we're bringing him. He's gonna put in work. Well, unless I don't need him. So Scarf at that speed will, Scarf at this speed will outspeed every Scarfer on their team except for Timid Charizard. This is 1 point of speed more than I need. And even though the majority of their team is water resist, when you consider our rain and inept ability boost, everything but Kingdra, who's a 4x resistance Chestnut, who is Iron Press, should be 2-hit KO'd by it, so it's the only attacking move I'll need. Icy Wind gives me speed control for Florges in place of Electrode, but that doesn't matter. What does matter is Final Gambit. Many of their offensive threats hover around in the 70 HP range. All of them are above 70 HP, but it's not guaranteed. Well, nothing would guarantee die to Final Gambit, as long as they have insufficient bulk, and I think you kind of have to speed out here against me. Well, no you don't, because I'm a lot faster, but still. Like, even if it doesn't kill, I still get 2 big things. Significant chip on something I want dead, be it Kingdra, Charizard, Overquill, or Chestnut, and a free pivot into Regigigas. So the big trick here would be on like a Kingdra lead, I would switch Florges into Weezing, disable Swift Swim, attack the Basculin, kill it, attack the Kingdra, kill it or chip it, get on a free pivot into Weezing. There you go. And then I have flip turn if I don't want to pivot. And, well, Terra Ghost just to not die, to not get picked out. And then Weezing is Citrus because duh, would it be? Thunderbolt is my only attacking move since it's just the best neutral into their team with no natural grounds and only 1 electric resist in Goodra. And like there's no way I'm Terraing this thing, so it's just Terra Electric, so I feel less uncomfortable about all of the Terra Waters on my team. There's 1, 2, 3. And it has Haze with enough speed to outspeed like 4-speed Chestnut, just so I can haze its boosts away, or like to get rid of stat drops on Gigas if they have Ability Shield and Intimidate. And then the last slot is like, well, because Protect doesn't count. The last slot is kind of hard, but like, I'm just gonna get Toxic, because that lets me stall Goodra out. I can spread status on like something. The only other alternative would be Wisp, but they just have very few special attackers, and since Florges doesn't have Protect, I'm not really into it, so we're just gonna run Toxic and hope we don't regret it. If the Chestnut doesn't Terra Steel, it's also a very good answer to it. And then Gigas. Gigas could be Clear Amulet, but I feel like that would over-adjust for Icy Wind, and like Ability Shield Grand Ball or Ability Shield Overquill didn't show up the first time, so we're just doing the classic Life Orb. It hits all of the fun Oko ranges. Heavy Slam is to hit a minimized Overquill, and it could hit Grand Ball or Goodra, but the classic normal ground coverage should just have us covered always. Terra also probably doesn't matter. It was Steel. This was Silk Scarf, Terra Steel, so I could Terra Steel and Oko Overquill, but I just turned it to Life Orb, which would always get the Oko, and then Ghost, so I can be immune to Body Press. And then lastly is our weak link in Hisuian Braviary. It was more like acting like a second Florges here. It's our adjustment Pokemon. It's faster and stronger and frailer than Florges. It can make better use of Icy Wind from Basculin, and even like follow up on being chipped more if I figure out how the HP range is. If it doesn't have any Life Orb boosted Hurricanes, which is sad, but Gigas needs the Life Orb and I can't justify it in a Braviary because I really don't see bringing Braviary unless it's like a game 2 or 3 situation. I can't lead it in 1. I bring Gigas probably every game, but that's the team, the bulk. Go here. That's the team. I am worried it's relying a bit too much on the stuff I've been running this whole draft, which is like, that was kind of a problem of how top heavy this draft is, not even including my team, but maybe even my own building. But like, everything but this Florges is something I've brought more than once in some form. I bring Life Orb Gigas all the time. I bring Citrus, 1 attacking move Weezing all the time. This Sheer Force, I only brought Tinted Lens Braviary like once, and it's been Sheer Force all the other times. Brought this Electro like every set, brought this Basculin like every set. But like, these sets have gotten me to finals. These sets won me 6 sets, even though they only won me 5 sets because 2 of my wins were forfeits. But like, they only need to work for 1 more set. We're gonna make them work for 1 more set. And before I cut to the game, I'd like a moment for the Moment of silence for the 3 members of this draft that never got to come to a single game. Gerda, you came to multiple sets, but never to a game. I wanted you. I thought you were stealing. Unfortunately, I drafted like 2 other fighting types, and you never got a chance to do anything. Lockix, who I drafted because Blizzard told me it was good, and she was wrong. You suck, Lockix. And Nose Pass, who I never once considered. I want it for you guys. Or lose it for you guys. Either or. If I lose, it's your fault. So disaster has struck. After the events of the set, whether I celebrated or dismayed, notwithstanding, I put the footage into Adobe Premiere, and I saw that beyond like the first minute or so mark, which was basically just team preview, I did not, like the audio did not record. I don't know why. It was usually when this happens, I just look at the file in the, I open the file in File Explorer, and there's the sound. I just have to put it back in again. Did not happen here, because again, the sound was there for like a small portion of the beginning. So, because I know my opponent was interested in my perspective, and I did not record last time, I forgot to record. I will just be doing a live commentary, my thought process for the turns. They're fresh enough in my head that I should have a good representation. Last time I just didn't hit the button, so this time I'm doing a lot better. But from the start, I see this lead, and I think, okay, basically the same team as last time. They replaced Chestnut or Gudra with Kingdra. They replaced Kingdra with something, is what I thought. And then, of course, Chestnut is here. I saw Chestnut is here. I psychoanalyzed the beginning sections, which I always do. I can't help myself from doing on these leads. Okay, he's backing Chestnut to win if he's led it. The Bennett Charizard stuff, thought it worked last time. I'll do it again this time. And then Politoed, Overqwil, Gudra. Seemed like a pretty standard 3. I assume the Overqwil will be some offensive Swiftsum set if Kingdra isn't here. And I assume the Gudra will be Assault Vest. I expect nothing of the Politoed, and I expect the same sets or some variation of the same sets on the Charizard and the Bennett. So I lead Electrode and Florges, and Weezing and Vertigitus. So the leads go off. And then Charizard, just like the last set, they reveal a Cobra Cloak and Assault Vest, which I didn't notice, which wasn't good. It was a blunder for them for not. For that, I think, it would have informed my actions on some other certain turns, and they didn't, because I didn't realize too late. But basically, in the last set, he led this lead twice. In the first turn, the first game he protected the Charizard. The first game he did not protect the Charizard and just attacked, and Icy Wind just win it, and the second game protect, then Icy Winded, because Earth was revealed, and here I assume just do the same thing, right? I protect. No, he doesn't protect, he switches out, sorry. Then with the Gudra, I Scary Face for nothing. The Bennett goes before my Florges and taunts me, but that's bad. But because it went faster than the Florges, I assume it's Choice Scarf. My Bennett is base slower than Florges. I invested quite a good deal of speed into this. It could have been Sash, but here I assume it's Scarf Taunt. So that's where my mind was at. Do that takes nothing. And so then on this turn, I think, okay, so the Bennett's Scarf, and even if it's not Scarf, this Gudra can't do anything to me. So I Moonblast, I double up Moonblast and Thunderbolt. I figure either I can catch anything. I can catch any of these 3 things in the back for super effective damage, one way or the other, and if it's Overqwil, or Overqwil, Politoed, not just Overqwil. Overqwil won't take super effective damage, but it'll be chunked good enough, and it does go into Overqwil. And at this point, I realize, okay, good, 28%, that's a lot. Moonblast, 57, that's a lot. This Overqwil is crippled and probably useless. I assume at this point, well, I don't even know. I do know. It does nothing. I assume it's leftovers, it's the same minimize set from last time. But I go, oh, okay, so that was clever. He taunted the Electrode, so I couldn't counter taunt the Overqwil. That's a good idea, but too bad I crippled it. So here I go, I'm just going to Thunderbolt you again, a Moonblast. Doesn't make any switches or anything, just lets it go down. I think a Protect there, or even a double Protect, was optimal, of course. Just in case it was a roll, getting back the leftovers HP to maybe live another Thunderbolt or Degleam or something. I don't know. I think you play for choke there. That doesn't matter. I Moonblast, do 38, I go, yep, that's Assault Vest as fuck. Take nothing. The special attack drop there was very lucky of me. Of course, because Gudra has a pretty low special attack stat at like 100. And, you know, Forges is 154. I don't think that Thunderbolt mattered all too much. I think, of course, it was a cascading effect. You're stuck here with some -1 Gudra, which informed your decisions a lot. If it had Drake, if it might have opted to drop a Draco next turn or something if it wasn't, but that's not what happened. So go in here, and here I think, okay, Thunderbolt did 21% to the Overquill last turn. It'll do 21% to the Gudra, and then the Moonblast will do 38%. 21 plus 38 is like 59. That'll be enough to kill it. So to do that, I double up, and then I remember that Overquill and Gudra are different Pokemon, and it takes 4% damage for nothing. Not for nothing, but because you'll say, never punished, never punished. Oh, okay. I get tricked, and I go, okay, that's a pretty good play. Now I can, but because I Thunderbolt, like I was still on the turn of Taunt. Like being Scarf Bennett gives you some problems, but I don't know. Doing that onto the Forges may have been better, I guess. It's like, not to spoil you at this point, but yeah, you can't win from this position since you get Sheriff Lanes, again, never punished. In combination with the -1 special attack drop, that mattered a whole lot. I don't know what move it went for. Again, if it went for Draco, that would have mattered a lot. I don't think it would have, but still. So this turn, yeah, Taunt ended, doesn't matter. T-Bolt you, a crit, big crit. Very huge turn for luck for me. Very bullshit luck turns. I don't know if that one mattered or not, because like again it tricks and takes that, but like it also took a 32 from a Dazzling Gleam. I don't know if it really would have mattered, and again, even if it did, because of the position I was in, the Gudra would have guaranteed died, and I would have been able to not only kill the Bennett next turn, but just like Terra Blast Water. And then with Regigigas in the back, I won. So Thunderbolt, Overheat does nothing, Terra Blast Water. Of course, the luck that was in my favor very heavily skewed it. I think, of course, because the matchups played out how they did. I don't feel I feel with the RNG I still would have won anyway. Although I would have liked, it depends on what the Gudra. If the Gudra was going to Draco Meteor, like the luck trader might have mattered, but well, then we go on to game 2. Yep. I was watching it before. Sorry, you didn't see that. Don't look at that. So I think I'll just do the same thing again. I'll do Electrode and I'll do Forges because again, the draft philosophy. I proved with my lead that my tech beats your tech. I'll just do it again. And then catch an over adjustment or a poor adjustment. And I go, okay, Regigigas in the back, I'll just do it again. For the same lead, love doing the same lead into Charizard and Overquill. And here I figure, okay, the Charizard's gonna like Blast Burn my Electrode, I'm gonna taunt the Overquill. I lose too much if I don't taunt the Overquill, so even though I know it's gonna protect, I still have to. With Terra Blast Water to Charizard, because I assume it'll be Life Orb again, because it wasn't. So yep, that protect as expected. Taunt doesn't go off. Overheat does nothing. I ran that calc after that. With Life Orb, this means it just wasn't like 252 special attack. Again, I don't know the set these. But this wasn't a roll. This means it was low, because doing 75% was lower damage than would have been possible for max HP, so it was like timid, not max investment back. It was probably a low roll either end, but because it did 75% at all, it was never going to kill. And then Terra Blast, kill. Very bad start for them. They go into Gudra. And I think, okay, I'm just going to taunt the Overquill again, who cares? I'll Dazzling Gleam to catch a switch in. I figure it'll be Chestnut, first of all. But I still want to get chip on the Gudra, so I did Degleam anyway. And a Politoed without Drizzle. It surprises me. I don't think that was a misclick. I don't think it was a misclick because of water absorbent damp, like Basculin. That would have gotten Basculin if I brought it. Or maybe if like something had explosion, that would have been good. But that surprises me. If he did forget Drizzle, that's very unfortunate. But because no water moves off here, I don't think it made a big impact on the outcome of the set. Well, because also what happens here is I remember I do that and I go, ooh, my water blast will be really strong now, and then it wasn't that, so it didn't matter. So yeah, take 78. Pontat for nothing, Electro goes down, and here I think, okay, I might as well have won here. I'll just go out into Regigigas, switch out into Weezing, double it as the Gudra, and win. And then I check the back of my party. I don't have Regigigas. I have Hisuian Braviary. I made a huge misclick, and I'm panicking. Uh-oh. What do I do? This Overquill's gonna just throat chop me. It's gonna acid spray me. It's gonna how do I beat this? I can't hit the Overquill. It's Air Slash, and I go, okay, well, I'm probably faster. I'll just attack it. See how much damage I do. 30%. Doesn't even kill. Politoed goes from another special attack drop. Takes like 70, 76, it gets an accuracy drop, so it's not even like consistent now. I'm like, oh no. And then those first Sludge Bomb that wouldn't have done anything. I Psychic the Politoed as a Citrus Berry. I Degleam because I can. And I get another accuracy drop on me. Okay, well, whatever. I know I'm faster. I just switch that into Weezing to haze its boost away. Moonblast, or Energy Ball, sorry, just to reveal all 4 of my moves for no reason. And then at this point I've won, right? I hit through the minimize here. I haze the boost away. They know they can't win because of the amount it took from them. I think you maybe could have played for something, but not when I had Braviary in the back. So that was a GG. The luck went pretty heavily in my favor. I've obviously hitting through that minimize was the most impactful, because if I missed there, even if I haze, I think you could toxic and maybe reasonably stall me out. But yeah. So some overall thoughts on my run to victory and the experience of a load draft would be like, I had fun. I like the load tier draft idea inherently. I'm glad I got to participate and win one. Regigigas totally carried me. I don't think my draft is very coherent outside of Electro and Basculin, but I still did have fun building each week in spite of that. I think some of my games were very good, especially my semifinals match. I love that one. I would join this draft again, of course, but if any producers are watching, I have a couple issues I would encourage them to address somehow. My much larger complaint was how the tiers function and how bottom heavy the draft in general is. I've said this before in my videos, but my main problem with CPDL is how top heavy that draft is. They're letting you draft 2 AS tiers that distinction doesn't matter, and with their point system to let you get 1 or 2 more, those players ended up exerting way too much pressure on the other in a way I felt limited creativity and made it less fun to both watch and play. The same issue occurs when you have a bottom heavy draft like this one, because you get to 2D tiers, 2E tiers, and they're both very low BST. E tiers is all NFEs, and that's really the only draft I've ever been in that makes you pick 2 NFEs. And look, I get the idea, I like the idea inherently, where like if the power level is lower, the point of a low tier draft is use underexplored, understated Pokemon. Using more shitters makes sense, but like unfortunately, Pokemon is still a numbers game. The top tiers still just outstat the bottom tiers in a way where, like, I felt most people only really had 6 or 7 of their top Pokemon be viable rings. And, like, the thing with D tiers, or, like, the thing with bottom tiers in drafts, if they come once or twice, they're really good. But when you have 4 Pokemon, 4 or 3 Pokemon, that are subject to that kind of condition, and then you have, in a pool of 10, it kind of hurts. And like I feel really lucky that I had Basculin, because I think if I didn't have Basculin, I would kind of be forced to bring the same 6 every week. And building up to 7 was helpful. But like my solution would be to have 2 A tiers, 3 B tiers, 4 C tiers, and then combine the D and E tier into one, and then you get the pick 2 from that tier, which would bump the Pokemon picked up to 11, already giving you 1/10 more options if that's how numbers work, and would hopefully raise the power level without introducing new Pokemon, and hopefully make the teams more versatile and fun to build with. And like, I do have grievances with the invincible tiering of Pokemon in this draft. I always do. I have a lot of nitpicks, but I won't get into all of them. It would not be productive to do so. And also making a draft tier list is hard. I don't want to speak ill of anyone who worked on this, but I feel there isn't a clean dividing line in the power of the Pokemon within the tiers that, like, I don't know what makes an A tier so much stronger than a B tier in this format, a B tier so much stronger than a C tier, and so on, and that could just be a hiccup of a low tier draft. But like, for an example, both Tauroses, Tauros Water, Tauros Fire, are an A, which makes sense. They're very fast, they're very strong, they have good utility. And then Hitmontop is also an A, even though it's a fighting type intimidator. That makes sense. It has a lot of utility moves, wide guard, coaching, whatever. But then, and Fake Out, of course, but then like you get to Mabosstiff, who not only has less utility than Hitmontop, but it has less damage than Tauros. Not necessarily in the raw stat, but like it doesn't have access to 120 base power moves. And then like, if Scrafty's in B, where's the dividing line there? And like, Pokemon Draft League showrunners shouldn't have to release a manifesto of their tiering philosophy, but I felt there were enough hiccups in the tiering, similar to what I described, that it impacted the drafting and trade experience somewhat, and future drafts would probably benefit from being open to peer review from the people playing them. And like, just looking at the spreadsheets for both of the silver and the gold draft, it seemed like they were open to, well, they have a tab called tier voting, which makes it seem like they were in the past. I don't know, this is my first draft here. And that's for what is too strong for this low tier draft. Ridiculous and slacking obviously are. Watch and like and subscribe to all of my videos if you want to see why. But also Politoed and Ninetales should be taken off the list. Draft Sun and Rain are really oppressive, even in a full power draft, because like, this is like my why I hate draft weather manifesto here, I'm sorry. Other weathers and even the terrains only help you with one thing. Snow and Sand provide defensive benefits for 2 already pretty bad types in Rock and Ice, along with the Sand Chip thing for Ground and Steels. And like, Psychic Terrain boosts the offensive for a bad offensive type in Psychic, and like, it has the priority blocking thing, which is a defensive benefit or to quantify, especially in drafts, and you can just not rank your priority. But Sun and Rain offensively boost already very strong attacking types in Fire and Water. They're both top 5 types offensively and defensively, and even give defensive benefits to those types. And like, already super good types in like Ground for Sun and Steel for Rain, both, and like both Fire and Water scenarios with Grass, Fire, Water, Grass Core, is something the other archetype just can't match up to. And in a low tier format, it's very easy to abuse those traits. The Sun team here didn't do very well, but the Rain team obviously made finals. There it is. Look at it. But like, yeah, that's my issue. It just guides your offensive and defensive team building in a way no other archetype can, and I think it does so in an unhealthy way, not only in general, but especially in this low tier format. But that's enough whining for me. I had fun. Don't let my complaining fool you. And if the VTSDL ends before this draft starts up again, I will likely be doing this again in the future, but I'm not doing 2 drafts at once at the same time again. I don't like doing that. That's enough talking for today. Goodbye. Mwah.